Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics and Random. Berto Willis, your host. Thank you so kindly for being a part of the show. We are going to have a great show for you today. We have some great activists, like usual, in the house, and we're going to talk about not only local politics, but how it applies to national politics. You guys know exactly what's going on in the world today. Lupita, ¿cómo estás? How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Just have a little bit of allergies, but I'm just pushing through it.
And I know people are kind of like running from you. If you have allergies these days, man, it's
yeah, I'm literally scared to cough in public. Obviously, I take, precautionary measures like cough in my arm, but I just get like stares from people when I cough or I sneeze.
I hear you. Hey, folks, by the way, for you guys who are out there doing stuff, hearing all these things about the coronavirus, I want to tell you something. I just learned something today. I was actually listening to the Tom Hartman show, and they said that please do remember that everybody thinks the strongest alcohol you can use to wipe things down is the best. They think 91%. It turns out that doesn't break the seal of the virus. So according to what I've heard on Tom Hartman, you guys can research it on your own. I haven't been able to do so far, but I felt I needed to put it out there so that you guys can do that. They said 70% is the one that actually breaks the virus walls and cause it to shrivel up or whatever it does on the inside. Anyhow, we're going to have a great program today. Title of the show today is The Establishment Gamble Must Not Pay Off. Texas Organizing Project distills Super Tuesday. The election. Anyhow, folks, the corporate mainstream media is always on call. They were successful on Super Tuesday, but with groups around the country like TOP, Texas Organizing Project, grassroots action must ultimately do what? Win. We are going to win. Folks, in the two top representatives will be in studio to discuss Super Tuesday along with their successes. We have Mary Moreno. Mary Moreno, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, this is community radio, so we have to have grassroots community here, right? And then, of course, my good friend, Coretta Brown. How you doing, Coretta?
Hey, Egberto. Hey, everybody. How y'all doing out there?
Hey, let me tell you, Coretta is one of those activists out there. I call her like I always called Daniel. You know, Daniel Cohen, my buddy from Indivisible, one of those activists of activists, because she's everywhere. She's just everywhere. Anyhow, folks, in the blog of the week, we cover the establishment concerted attack on Bernie Sanders. We hope that just like the centrists coalesced around Biden, that Elizabeth Warren will do so around Bernie. I don't know if that's going to happen.
I don't know if that's going to happen. I'm actually hoping that it will happen, but listening to and reading some of the statements coming out from her and her campaign, it's not seeming likely.
It seems like they want to create a boogeyman out of the false Bernie bros. Every campaign have its Bernie bros, or actually have its bad bros is what I should say. And I think they want to use that as an excuse in case they decide to pivot for Biden. But, Crystal Ball really gave her a severe hit today on The Hill. And, she said, you've lost your chance to be liked by the left because the time to have endorsed, when they were coalescing around Biden, she should have coalesced around, because Michigan is today, Washington is today, Mississippi, I think, is today, right? So who knows what's going to happen. Anyhow, folks, in the blog of the week, we cover the establishment concerted attack on Bernie Sanders. We hope that just like the centrists coalesced around Biden, Elizabeth Warren will do around Bernie. But we are not going to hold our breath anymore. It would have been, I was defending her for the longest time with all my old Bernie bros. I was defending her along with my Move to Amend folks. I was defending her against my Coffee Party folks, all these guys. And you know what? It turns out, I hope I don't have to come on air and say, guys, sorry, you were right. But anyhow, if I have to, I will. Progressives must vote. Before I get to the program, I want to remind all our listeners that KPFT is a bastion of intelligent voices and programs. As a political activist myself, my favorites are Think Wing Radio. And who is Think Wing Radio with again?
With Mike Honig on Mondays at 3 p.m.
And of course, there's Open Journal with
Dwayne Bradley and crew on Mondays at 6 p.m.
And then we have Jazz Latino, Afro-Cuban Latin Jazz at its very best, hosted by
Juan Flores and Lupita.
And wait, who's that again?
Lupita, that's me.
The voice, I tell you. Lupita hosted
and that's Tuesdays today at 12 noon. And if you missed that, you can go on the archive and check it out.
Hear the voices. And of course, there is Asian Radio, a weekly radio program featuring an eclectic mix of Asian underground, Bagra, Bollywood funk, Hindi Rai, where ancient sounds meet future beats. That's
right after this show, Tuesdays from 4 to 6 p.m.
And folks, that is the show that keeps me hopping. Hey, how you doing, Letty? Wait, Letty is in the house. Letty, say hello to our audience, Letty.
Hello. How's it going?
It's going fine. It's great to see you back here again.
Oh, yes, because we have Nuestra Palabra after Generation Radio.
Well, you know what? I need to add that to the list. How comes you never told me to add that to the list before? Because Nuestra Palabra is bad.
I had never made to make sure to push that in there, but Nuestra Palabra.
Well, Nuestra Palabra va a estar aquí ahora. ¿Está bien?
It's a bit.
All right, good. Okay, folks, check out our full schedule at kpft.org, where we can find programming from music to politics to medicine to the eclectic. KPFT is a listener-supported public community radio station, so please remember, if you like what you hear, visit kpft.org and ensure we remain a strong, viable community radio station that provides news, programming, and information, not influenced by whom?
The corporatocracy.
And remember that, folks, that's who we are. We are not influenced by the corporatocracy. The monies that we spend to come on air comes from you. Our only loyalty is to you. Lupita, before we go to the blog of the week, I want to talk to these two activists first, because I think I want to start the question in this way. What did you think about the Super Tuesday results? First, locally, Mary.
Well, what I was most excited about was to see people of color turn out.
Right.
And you saw that in the lines, the long lines, which was unfortunate. But I was really proud of everybody who stood in line and waited until they voted. And then that fact that we made up more than 50% of the electorate in Harris County this primary is something we should all be proud of.
I mean, I think that is great, because I think Houston is one of the largest majority-minority cities, if I remember. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and as such, I think, normally we know that Latinos specifically generally don't have a high turnout. Now, the black voter generally have a high turnout. In fact, in some elections, it's higher than the white vote. Tell me a little bit about the Latino vote and how it did this time around.
Finally, right? I mean, I think it's always been, if you talk about the issues that people care about, our theory is that people will turn out.
I agree.
And that's what happened. And I think we endorsed Bernie Sanders. And Bernie talking about free public college, healthcare for all, living minimum wage, growing the minimum wage. Those are the issues that Latinos care about the most, right? Because if you look at college, Latinos are most likely to drop out of college because they can't afford it. They're most likely not to have insurance. They're among them, along with the black community, and also the jobs, right? Latinos are stuck in minimum wage jobs. So these are the things that would impact their families the most and most immediately. So when we talk about those issues, Latinos will show out. And that's what Bernie did really well, right? He spoke directly to Latinos about the issues they care about.
No, I can tell you from experience, because being in Las Vegas, Nevada, I don't know if you realize, first of all, Bernie got 53% of the Latino vote in Nevada. But not only that, the people were anxious to go vote. I had one woman cry to me when she realized, because a lot of people aren't really informed about voting as they should. Yes, it's on TV. Yes, it's elsewhere. But these are folks that work hard. These are folks that are putting in 12 hours a day, 7 days a week. This woman cried when she realized Nevada was a caucus, and being a caucus, she had to be there between 12 and 2. And she worked between those times. She could have gotten off at 11 to come vote and go back, but because it was a caucus, she had to spend all her time there. So there are a lot of hindrances that we face in the voting thing. Now, I wanted to ask that question first, because you stated what made you happy with the vote and how much top had to do with it. So before we go any further, tell me what is top, because I think folks from all over the country should hear about this organization and understand the kinds of things that they do and why this likely should be replicated all over the darn country. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Texas Organizing Project is we organize Black and Latino communities specifically because we think if we join our fights, we're more powerful.
Right.
So we say we fight with two fists.
Right.
We organize year-round around issues that impact our communities. So that's the legal system, housing, jobs, the environment, healthcare. Then we also do elections in a big way. We don't register voters, but we get people out to vote. So when we knock on people's doors, this year we knocked or called or texted 195,000 people.
Right here in Houston?
In Harris.
In Harris County?
In Harris and in Bexar County and in Dallas County.
Okay, great.
But our largest program was in Harris County.
Also, this is an organization that's not only relegated to Harris County.
We're statewide.
It's a complete...
Well, it's in those three. We're in the largest counties, three of the largest counties in Texas.
Beer, Harris, and Dallas. And Dallas, got it.
Because we feel like that's where we have the biggest concentrations of Black and Latino folks.
Okay.
Right? And we can make it the biggest impact there.
Right.
So we knock on their doors, we call them, and we ask them, what do you care about? Because a lot of times, people have full lives. They either work a lot, they have kids, they have school, they have a lot of things. So elections are might be the last thing on their mind.
Right.
But they care about things, right? They maybe top of their mind is that they don't have health insurance.
Right.
Or that their kids are going to failing schools. Or the flooding, right, in Houston especially, that their neighborhood floods frequently. And then we connect whatever issue they care about the most to voting, right? Because whether some people don't think politics is sturdy and they don't want to be involved in politics.
Right.
But politics is part of your life, whether you decide to engage or not.
Right.
So we make that connection, and people respond very positively. When you have that person-to-person conversation, it's like the most valuable thing you can do to grow the electorate.
That is absolutely true. And, I think there are studies that actually prove that if you call somebody, what percentage would go out and vote? If you send somebody an email, what percentage votes? If you talk to them, it's the most effective way because they feel sort of a connection with you. And especially if they make you a promise, yes, I'm going to go vote, they know that they may see you again. And the next question you're going to ask is, did you go vote?
We ask people to make a plan. So we take a postcard and they circle what day and time they're going to go vote.
Right.
Then they give us their information. We take that postcard and then we mail it back to them because we start knocking on doors 2 months before early voting. And so when they get that postcard, they're like, oh yeah, I promised that I would go vote on this day. It's another very effective way. And then we'll keep calling you until you vote.
Right. Now, all of this takes money. And, being here at KPFT where we have to fundraise to keep our very humble abode together. And you guys can see we have chairs that are in need and we have microphones that are in need. How do you guys get funded? I've been to your, yesterday I was at your place to check it out, talking to Coretta, and it was like, it's an effective space, but you can see it's not a, whatever monies you get, you're frugal with the monies that you get.
Yes.
So how are you actually funded? And I tell you what, we don't do this, but for a grassroots organization, I don't think the FCC can tell me or would tell us that we can't say, hey, if you're a 501c3, how can people help you out?
Yes. So we do take money from, first of all, we are a membership-based organization, so our members pay dues. But we get a funding from a variety of sources, from foundations, from individual donors. Anybody who supports the Black and Latino building power in those communities is welcome to fund us.
Right. You know what is interesting? I mean, you mentioned Black and Latino, right? I've always wondered why we need more organizations that, especially in cities like this, that take advantage of those not similarities but synergies, right? Because what happens is, I've seen over the years there have been false tensions created between Black and Latino communities because it's like, how do we best fight for the crumbs coming from the corporatocracy? And that is the most difficult thing to break. You go out there to a Black community and you hear Blacks saying, well, these Mexicans are coming, and they call Latinos Mexicans. I mean, it's like,
yes.
we know first of all, let's explain to folks, all Latinos aren't Mexicans. Okay? I mean, we are from all over the damn place.
Yes.
But anyhow, I think what is very important for folks to understand is you go into a Latino community and you hear the same thing. Esos negros o chombos o lo que sea, they go out I think having an organization like this that doesn't allow the corporatocracy to pit folks against each other is important. And from what I see, I mean, we have two of you, two ladies in here. First of all, it's great that there's two women that's representing.
Top is women led.
One Latino, one Black American. So why don't you've been kind of quiet. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what your thoughts are on this top organization and what you guys want to see accomplished through it, and how can this be sort of a template that's used all over?
So I'm with the Right to Justice team at TOP. I started following TOP, I think it was like around 2016, right? And just watching what they were doing in the general election. And then watching afterwards, how they would actually go out and do direct actions to challenge different officials and things like that. And so that automatically attracted me, being a criminal justice reform advocate that I am. So as I kept watching and I just kept building a relationship with different people out here, it was like, of course, I'm always here at Texas Organizing Project. I mean, I just don't think that you can be in Harris County and not know what Texas Organizing Project does, or not, at some point see who they are, or see who we are. And so it's a great organization to work with. Being a part of the Right to Justice team, we focus on everything and all things that's related to the justice system, the unfairness of it, the inequality, the mass incarceration. And, it's basically about taking this issue and then figuring out what's the systemic problem and then what's the systemic solution, and then how do we take the solution and implement it so that our vision is actually, is actually coming to fruition.
You know what is great? I came to one of your meetings, and I love what you just said, because you just said, how do you bring what your, these aspirations that you have, how do you bring it to fruition? Well, I mean, I think that meeting showed that you had some healthy discussions within that meeting with people who agreed, disagreed, wanted to change the way things went along. And I kind of like the democratic manner in which you run the organization. I can tell you from other organizations, sometimes a lot of democracy is a little bit messy, but I mean, I think, and by the way, that is not discounting. I believe 100% in democracy. So,
right.
And I also believe 100% in messy democracy, because I think that is how things get done. I don't believe in sanitized anything, Let's go ahead and go out there and do it. So I enjoyed that meeting. I imagine you're going to have a whole lot more of those things, and you're trying to build your membership.
We are, because like Mary said, we are a member-based organization, and we fight with people power, right? So to have people power, to fight with people power means you have to have people, right? So we are always expanding our membership base. We're always inviting people to come in to our movie nights, to come in to our workshops. We're going to be having different workshops where we'll be explaining, just the roles. Some people don't understand, like, the role of the county attorney. How does that role affect us on a local level? How does it affect our everyday life, or just different other roles that we have? And so we're going to be having those workshops that really educate our members and empower our members, because whether we're talking about politics or whether we're talking about our social issues, it's only through education that we are able to be most impactful.
Let me tell you something, Coretta. There was a time in America where kids got civics in school. So they learned how their government worked. They learned what it was like, why you had a job. They learned all these things, right? I don't know if you noticed that a lot of that has stopped, right? That is not because they didn't want to pay for that. That is because they didn't want to have an educated population, because an educated population they can control. In fact, if you take a look at the rationale or the reasoning, and folks, some of you are going to get upset for what I'm going to say, but the only way you can have this new mass appeal for Joe Biden is because of a large base that, and I don't want to call the base uneducated, because that's not what it is. It's miseducated, but it's miseducated because the base of education on politics was not there in the first place. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it is easy. I mean, like you said, people have full lives, right? So
Right.
and if you don't have that foundation, like how many people can tell you who their senators are,
Right.
or their governor, like, and it is a failure of our schools, and not by coincidence, right? Our schools really declined as the population of people of color rose. Like the disinvestment, the just the everything about public schools declined as more and more of the population was Latino and Black kids.
I want to. That is a very important statement, but it's a statement that has to be qualified because let me give it an example. When we had the flood in New Orleans, a lot of the students from New Orleans came to a lot of schools in Texas. And when they came to the schools in Texas, there was a lot of issues with these new New Orleans Black kids coming into Kingwood schools and bringing down their ratings as a lot of people wanted to raise hell about that. Oh, look at what you're doing to the rating, not realizing that the ultimate thing is not about kids bringing down the rating. Is about why is it that these kids were not on par with the other kids. Now, you made a statement that some will interpret dangerously. In other words, as the Black and Latino population increase in schools, less resources, less, and you see less, they come out less prepared. Some would want to make that something intrinsic to Black and Latino kids, when the reality is that as you get browner in a community, less resources tend to flow because they feel less answerable to those people.
Yes, anytime you look, especially in the state of Texas, I'm being specific to Texas, if you look at the way we fund schools and the population increase in Latino and Black kids, the money spent on schools has declined.
Right.
And then, so it's all purposeful.
Right. And, I think America needs to know that the interesting thing about that is, by the way, folks, you can call in at any time if you want before my blog of the week, 713-526-5738. If you have any questions for Mayor Correa, 713-526-5738. Yeah. So, I think when it comes to schooling and education and all of that, it is so important that we have avenues to tell these stories. I am glad what you said, Correa, is one of the things that you're doing at top is you're making sure to educate people. I think yesterday you told me about a whole lot of people that comes into your door. Yes, it's the working class, but many times it's the working class without work. Right.
Yeah. And so that's just like another way that we can see what's actually happening within our community, right? You have in the media, they're telling us that unemployment is at an all-time low and that people have jobs. But then you look at people that come inside, with issues, and they're coming inside. They come into top with issues and they don't have jobs. And one of the issues that they're talking about is that there's not work out here, right? And so, it's just, to me, it's just kind of like
Catch-22.
Catch-22.
But you know what is interesting? Because you said there's no work. Work doesn't only mean you have a job, right? Work also means you have the ability to get to a job. If your job is 30 miles away and you have to spend on $2 gas to get there back and forth, and you have to put a kid in for childcare, that is what make the progressive the tenets that the progressives are running on, the policy the progressives are running on, so important. And that is what makes so many centrists, some knowingly, some unknowingly, so unkind, so selfish. Because what happens is everybody wants to see everybody working. That's fact. We want to see everybody working. But if you're in a city like Houston, Texas, where your job can be 40 miles away, that is a bill of $300-400 a month in gas. And you have to find somebody to hold on to your kid while you're off. I thought we were a family values country.
Not only that, but if you have any sort of record,
right.
All of these doors are closed to you, right? They're closed off to you. So it's really the epitome of injustice to expect everyone to have a job when not everybody has even the opportunity
to have a job. I had Leila Martinez, who was canvassing in Nevada with me, and she flew back with us to Houston. Now she's in New York, heading to Florida, doing canvassing all over. And she pointed out that she she had a record, and she got her, I think she got her master's in something, I don't remember the public, I think it was public policy or something like that. And when you hear somebody she went to an Ivy League school, she got a master's in public policy, and she sat here last week and said, I am scared every time I fill out an application because there is that thing on my record. And we had somebody who called in, and as opposed to saying, yeah, this is something we need to change up, well, you know what you were doing. What I try to explain to the person who called in is that if we were to go ahead and tabulate every person in, let's say, Houston right now, and tabulate all the illegalities that they all do, whatever happened if all these people got caught?
Right.
Yes.
Right.
The thing about it is we've learned how to put a scarlet letter on people. Why didn't we put a scarlet letter on the guys who crashed the economy? They cause a lot more deaths than most criminals.
Well, because they have money.
Right.
And so at the heart of our discussion is that you can actually have a criminal background and be successful if your family has money.
Right.
Because your family can hire you, or you have friends of friends that can hire you. Or, I mean, we can just look at what's been happening lately, and the president can just give you a pardon, right? And just, it's over with. So if you have money and you have a criminal background, you can be okay, right? If you have influence, or if you have a platform, right, and you have a criminal background, you can be okay because people gravitate towards you because of what they can get from you. But if you don't have anything, if all you have is yourself and your drive to work and a background, then yeah, you're gonna get the bottom half. And that's why I was so disappointed, right, in some of the people that some of the more moderate and centrist Democrats that I know. I was kind of disappointed because I'm thinking to myself, like, these are issues that directly affect you and your family.
Right. The thing about it, though, Coretta, is for me, it's yes, disappointment. You're right. It is disappointment. But I think what I've learned to do, you and I were talking, and in fact, I used the comment that you made on my show yesterday when you said, how do you stay strong? How does one stay strong when you have all these you are right. You know that that the policy of one candidate is diametrically opposed to the community who is voting for that candidate. You know it.
Right.
And you get the fifth degree, you get lambasted because you're telling the truth about a candidate whose policies are diametrically opposed to the people you represent. And in the case of Houston, most of the votes he gets are from people when put into office he will hurt.
Yeah, exactly. And I just couldn't understand.
People also have this they want to be pundits. They want to predict the future.
Right.
And they think they're also just so bound by what they think is possible.
Right.
And it's like asking somebody who's never experienced what liberation is to imagine it. It's really difficult for people to think of a world where they do have medical health insurance, where they do have free college.
Right.
It just sounds too good to be true, right?
And I actually had a lady on my Facebook post, right? Mary, to your point, I had a lady on my Facebook post to tell me, she says, Bernie Sanders just scares me because he want to change our government. And I said, well, I'm asking her, okay, well, let's talk about this. What about it? What about it are you afraid? And she was like, I'm just afraid of the income cap. He want to put a wealth cap. I said, well, let me ask you, do you plan on making more than $400,000 a year? Right, and this is just on a low scale because I think the wealth
is several million.
Would be
millions, right? And so I'm thinking to myself, do you even plan on making more than $400,000 a year? I'm like, look, let's be real with each other. The average black person, I'm not going to speak for the Latino race because
equal,
right? But the average black person, right? We are not going to make more than $80,000 a year for the rest of our life, right? We are considered blessed if we can get to 80,000, and if we can make it into the 6 digits, then we feel that we have made it, even if it's the low 6 digits, right? So what in the goodness gracious of life are you afraid of a you know?
It is, and that's where I talk about the conditioning by the media, and I also talk about antiseptic slavery. Antiseptic slavery is what we have. The corporations are running. Many people don't realize yet that we are governed, and we are everything that we do is through antiseptic slavery. Before I go to the blog of the week, I'm going to take the first call. All right, caller, come on in.
Hello?
Yes, you're on. Talk to me. You're on, sir.
Hey. Oh, okay. I didn't know if I was on it. Hey, I hear the two young ladies you have on talk about they're going serving the Black and Latino community, right?
Yes.
And I think that's wonderful. Mm-hmm. What about the white community? They're like, no.
You kind of jumped ahead of a question I was going to ask, which was I wasn't going to say what about the white community. I was going to ask what about.
I mean, we're all in this together.
No, I know. Yeah. Let me tell you what I was going to ask. Let me tell you what I was going to ask. I was going to ask because I have a phrase on this station. If you listen to me all the time, I said we would have beaten the plutocracy when we unite the barrios, the ghettos, and Appalachia. It's a stereotype, but everybody understands the stereotype that I'm talking about. Now, I think I know the answer, but I'm going to let Mary answer that.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay,
we do have white members, right? But I think like with TOP, it's about we put Latino and Black people first because they are the most impacted by the legal system, by a lot of the systems in the United States.
So it's not exclusionary.
Let me make another point.
Yeah, go ahead. Yes, sir.
Young ladies, don't sell yourself so short. I right before you answered, I got a little thrown off because I was listening and then I jumped on. So the last thing I heard on the radio was what's the other?
Coretta, yes.
Yeah, I heard her say that. This is the last thing I heard, and I want to comment on that. She says, well, Black people aren't going to make more than 80. Why limit yourself? Why limit yourself to say
I don't think she was doing that at all.
So it wasn't, it's not that I'm limiting myself, or it's not that I'm limiting our community. It's really just that
Hold on, one at a time. What's your name, sir?
Tommy.
Oh, Tommy, this is my Republican brother. Hold on a second.
I'm not Republican.
Yes, you are. Hold on a second, my brother. Let her finish, and then I bring you back on.
Okay, so it's not limiting. It's just looking at the facts, right? If you look at the facts of what we have right now, many African Americans are not making more than $80,000 a year. And if we're going to tackle that issue, right, then we have to talk about the truth. If we're going to say that you're afraid of a wealth gap, you should not be afraid of a wealth gap.
Yeah.
You shouldn't be afraid. You shouldn't be afraid of the wealth gap because, generally speaking, we are not even expected, nor are we given the opportunity to make such kinds of money. We don't have straps on our boots, and that's period, point blank, and that is the fact.
Yeah. Now, go ahead, Tommy. Respond.
Well, let's talk about facts.
Yes.
Because those weren't facts; those were opinions.
Yes. No. What she said is a fact. But go ahead and.
Wait. Because you are limiting yourself. And I will tell you this: I have plenty of Black friends. I'm a Spanish myself. I didn't want to say that because it really doesn't.
Come on, Tommy. I've been on your show, so it's okay.
Greta knows who I am. So anyway, young lady, let me just put it to you like this: the fault of the limitations that you have on yourself mentally are because of the said people that you're trying to defend. Those people have every capability.
Can you tell me what people? Can you tell me what people I'm defending?
What's that?
Like, can you give me an example of a person that I'm defending? Can you tell me the name of the person that I'm defending?
Your mentality. You're defending your mentality, and you shouldn't do that because you're limiting yourself.
Okay, Tommy, let me respond to this because I think I honestly think you misunderstood what these two ladies are saying, and I think you're looking at it through a prism, the wrong prism. I understand where you're coming from. In certain instances, if there are people there are people, not these young ladies, but there are people who would make comments. If you're in the Latino community, ¿Quién tú crees que eres? Who the hell do you think you are? You know that mentality.
I know.
You understand that mentality. This is not what we're talking about here, Tommy. What we're talking here is Coretta gave a statistical fact. And statistical facts are one of the reasons I've always believed in free enterprise and sole proprietorship is that in general, in the aggregate, you can determine how much you want to make. You still have portions of it where you still have to be chosen, but we can go into that economic theory later on. But here's what I really wanted to say.
Go ahead. I want to make
aguanta. Here's the thing that I want to say. First of all, Coretta is correct. Secondly, Coretta was not trying to limit the realities. She was saying what the realities are, and that this woman was fighting for a false reality. She had a feeling or a belief that a wealth tax would somehow have an impact on an inordinate amount of black people or Latinos. And the fact of the matter is, based on where our wealth is, that's a false take. Now, you as a owner of that company that you own, just like the company I own or whatever, we understand that, and you know that. Okay? So do not make the mistake to think that either one of these women are diminishing what their expectations. Go ahead, Coretta.
And then I just want to I just want to bring this up from Brookings.edu. Right, in 2018, the median household income for African Americans, at which half of the household have higher incomes and half lower, reached $41,511. This is facts, right? And if we don't talk about facts, then we can't talk about how we do economic reform for Black and Latina and Latina people.
Coretta, and what Coretta said is what is so important, because you have to know the numbers so you know what economic strategies you must take to mitigate that. You know, I call our economy an extracting economy. It extracts from Latinos, blacks, and now after it has extracted that, now white folks are actually a part of that agenda as well, because our economic system knows no color. You know, I'm not a race guy. I'm not a race guy. I don't believe in race, but I live in a race-conscious society. And in doing so, we have to acknowledge that race plays a game in the way the plutocracy controls. Notice you don't hear Oprah, you don't hear Beyonce, you don't hear Kanye talking out against Donald Trump, because at that point in time, we're talking about a different thing. That's what makes my concept right. Go ahead, Tommy.
Okay, my last point.
Yes, sir.
Late. Or to you, Chris. When people become successful,
yes,
and a little bit older, they get a little bit wiser, and they start to look back. I remember growing up. I'm going to make this short. I remember growing up, and I grew up in a Latino. I grew up in Denver Harbor. I don't know if y'all are from.
Yeah, of course Harbor. I know it. Come on, I know Texas, man.
And I had politicians go to these recreation centers where we used to play basketball, and then whatever. And just tell us, not advise. They used to tell us, "Hey, go vote for this person." And I would ask my parents, "Why do they think we're going to vote for this person? Who's he against?" And it was always a Democrat.
Right.
Me being the person I am, I was just like, "How do they know? How do they know who I'm supposed to vote for?"
But Tommy, you and I think the same way in that respect, and you know that.
It made no sense to me. So my point,
and it still doesn't make any sense.
My point I want to make is, when people get older and wiser and they start to make money for themselves, they're no longer going to be Democrats. So I thank you, young ladies, for taking care of the people that don't have the wherewithal. I appreciate it, but just know that when they become successful, they're not going to vote for you anymore.
Okay, hold on a second. Tommy. Don't get partisan on that one, because you're absolutely wrong, my brother. But that's brother.
I'm a living example.
My brother, you are just one. You are just one example. But I did fairly well in my day, and I know many like me. And I know many like me too. Hey, but hermano, thank you for calling. Hey, brother, I got another. Hey, bro, hermano mío, I got another call, but look here, like usual, you keep calling because I'm going to turn you into a progressive yet. You take care, brother.
Please.
All right, man.
You told me,
hermano, adios. Bye. All right. Okay, let's go. Line 2, come on in. You're on.
Yes, sir. Tommy.
Yes.
Spot on.
Okay, talk to me, my brother. Hey, today I got all my Republic. Yeah, I have a lot of conservative callers and listeners.
Good. Bring it on.
No,
yeah,
like
come on, my brother, talk to me.
What happened to personal responsibility?
Yes, I agree.
I worked my way through college, 2-3 jobs, and paid my own way.
Yes.
I go to the grocery store, drive in my 2006 pickup truck, see the black mother and son with 3-4 shopping carts full of food. Put mine in the trunk, put yours in the back seat so you can drop me off.
Yeah.
they're not going to go to work.
Okay, let me tell you something. I want to answer this one. I really want to. I know Coretta is seething, but I want to take care of this one, Coretta.
I'm not on welfare.
Brother. Let me tell you something. You see, that stereotype, right, is such a false stereotype. But the thing about it gets traction because when you have a Fox News or whatever, they look for that one person they can find doing that, right? But what they never show you is they never show that the white counterpart doing that, which there are a lot. They never. The truth of the matter is the people that have this is not a racial statement. This is just a factual statement. The aggregate thievery in this country is white. It's not black. It's not Latino. The aggregate thievery in this country. Remember that. The people that have ripped you off the most, you, my brother, are you a white guy?
Yes.
Okay, you, my white brother. The person that rips you off, sir, is white people. And white is a stupid statement. Black is a stupid statement. Latino is a stupid statement, okay? But that's how we characterize folks. But if you look at the genre of the folks who have screwed you the most, it's the white elite. That's who have gotten to you. And what I'm trying to do with you, what is your name again? I forgot again.
My name is Barden.
Hey, Barden, let me tell you something, brother. You and I are in the same boat, okay? And when my goal in life is to let you realize that. You and I are in the same boat. You haven't seen it because there is a concerted effort in this country to make sure, and I was talking to Maria and Coretta earlier on about the black-Latino friction, and we have the Latino-white friction, the black-white friction. These are by design, so they create and highlight all these stories so that instead of you're looking for the people who are causal in what occurs in this country, you can say, Maria, you Latina woman, you are measling off of these white guys. They work hard, and that's what it's all.
Yes,
and you, Coretta, you black woman, why do you take advantage of white people like that by being on welfare? And those are the things that happen, right? So you got guys like me that come out and say, I'm not going to fall for the trap by hating on you, because you are conditioned just like Maria and Coretta are conditioned. So you are my buddy. You know what my goal is with you, brother? I am so happy that you keep calling me because I love you. Because I'm going to turn you into a progressive too. Because you're going to see. No. Hold on. I'm not done. I'm not done. Because I can guarantee you that you're a just person. And if you are presented with trusted stuff, your justness will prevent you from moving on. Looks like Maria wanted to tell you something.
And meanwhile, Jamie Dimon is walking away with a bank, right?
Right.
Like, we can't focus on people that person in line who's paying for her groceries doesn't have power, right? It's the powerful elite in the banks, in the corporations that are walking away with billions. And meanwhile, we're fighting for the last cookie.
Right, and then I want to say too, the person who the lady, the African American lady with her son that you saw in the grocery store, right? I want to ask you, what do you do for a living, if I may?
I work for the county.
You work for the county. Now, how many African Americans work for the county, or how many Latinos work for the county with you? What would be your estimate? Would you say that there's an equal amount of whites and an equal amount of Latinos and an equal amount of African Americans that's working there?
Yes, I would.
You would say that, right? And so, would you say that there are any opportunities right now for somebody to come in and put their application in and get a job?
Sure, there's a website full of opportunities.
Right, and so then
can't fill.
Right, and so then what would be the requirements to be able to work for the county? Can you have
you got to have an education. You got to work for it. You got these people flooding across the border.
And so that's my point. That African American family that you saw in the store with a food stamp card trying to get their welfare, trying to get some groceries, that person didn't have the opportunity to get the same education that you got.
I know.
Look, Coretta, come on, Coretta.
Okay, wait, sir. I got it. Look, my phones are. Sir, we got where you're coming from, but let me tell you this: you keep listening and you keep calling. My lines are completely.
One last thing.
Quick.
You want Bernie to give you everything.
No, I do not want Bernie to give me everything. That's not factual.
Incorrect. That is incorrect.
I did not even want to be on welfare. to be honest with you. I wanted a job, I wanted a career, and I wanted an opportunity to take care of my children and my family and have the same opportunity to have a 401k and a health care plan that I paid for out of my own pocket.
And
that's what I want.
That is what most people... Hey, sir, let me tell you keep listening. And by the way, go to egbertowillies.com and read some of my blogs, because I guarantee you, ultimately, we'll get you, brother. You have a good one, okay?
All right.
Bye-bye.
Wow, that is something like, I have health care. I
Yeah.
have a living wage. But I still want Bernie to win.
Exactly.
Because I want others. Because especially like right now that we have this pandemic,
Yeah.
if people were able to take care of themselves, all of us are going to be healthier.
Exactly. Now, this phone is loaded. Look, I can't give my blog of the week, and it was a very well-written blog of the week. Okay, come on in, line 3. You're on.
Is that me?
Yes,
Hey,
you.
brother?
Yes, talk to me, brother.
Hey, this is Wayne.
Talk to me, Wayne.
I just want to shoot in that guy that just got on. I don't know his name or not.
Yeah.
But tell him that Ronald Reagan been dead 30 years. Tell him Ronald Reagan been dead 30 years.
Hey, Wayne, that sounds like you, Wayne. That sounds like you.
You know who it is now, because I've been sitting here listening, but I couldn't pass this one up. That welfare queen shit is gone.
You know, let me tell you something, guy. Okay, it's wonderful hearing your voice. I got to go to the other call, but thank you for calling in, Wayne. Okay.
See, I'm a black man and I earn a good living. I don't tell you how much money I make, but you know me, Alberto.
I know you make a lot of money, Wayne.
But when my wife go to the store, she go to the store with my son, and she could bring home a trunk load of food.
There you go.
and ain't no welfare paid for
Brother,
it.
we know. Look, what we have to do.
Let's understand
Wayne,
that off the bat. So don't look at every black woman that come in without a husband at that time.
Wayne.
Is paying for food stamps.
Wayne, you know, the way I handle things, you know what I do? The stereotype has been imparted on these people. My goal is not to just go fight with these folks. My goal is to bring them in by showing them what's right. Thank you, brother. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye-bye. All right, let's go. Line 4. Come on in. You're hot. Yeah. Hello. Come on in. You're kind of noisy.
Hi.
All right. Talk to me.
Yeah, Roberto, I have a long time listener. I just got tuned up.
Hey, look, I can barely hear you, sir. Like you have a lot of background. Can you come in a little closer?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, but you were kind of fuzzy.
No, sorry about that. I'm driving.
Okay. Oh, you're driving. I tell you what, I'm going to put you, call me back. I will take your call because it may be a bad connection, okay? Call me back. All right, let's go. Line 5, come on in.
Hello.
Yes, you're here. This sound like MOD. Talk to me.
Y'all remember that Pay to Play?
Yes.
And there were 2 white actresses, but you know who the other, I think 24 people that were busted for that? They were, let's see, they were Hebrew, they were black, they were, hell, a Japanese banker even.
Okay.
And so the point is, if people want to dig in the ditches on the racism, Roberto, that's a little we got to work with. But there's a class, and we're not in it. There's a club, and we're not in it.
MOD, you know something? Prescient statement. I got to go to the other call. I only have 13 minutes, so thank you.
I just want to say one thing, then, if you don't mind.
Real quick.
Those exit polls
yes.
showed Bernie winning.
Yes.
Last Tuesday, and he got burned. And so I'm afraid, when this out of last minute, there's some folks supposedly that voted for Biden. I'm going to say what type or race or anything, but it's hacked. I'm certain of this.
I got you.
I'll leave you with that.
I got you. Thank you, brother. All right, come on in. Line 1, come on in. Oh, you're still loud. Can you close your window?
Is this the
yes.
Politics Done Right show?
Yes, it is. You're loud.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you close your windows because it's apparently it's very loud. Close your windows.
It's too loud?
Yeah, it's too loud. You have to close your windows and I'll be able to get you. Let me put you on hold and we'll take it after.
Okay.
All right. All right, let's see. Line 2, come on in.
Hello?
Yes, you're here.
Hey, Alberto. Hey. Question. All through the YouTube, everything that you watch on TV and the radio and everything.
Yes, sir.
It seems like to me, Spanish, black, white people, it's always think that everybody seems to me playing a victimization card.
Okay.
I mean, how much does the American can give to all these people? It's just.
In what way do how would you call it a victimization card? What? I have 2 women in this studio right now. Which one of them played the victim card?
Well, That's what I mean. Everybody, we don't get this. We black people don't get this. We white people don't get this. We Spanish people don't get this.
Let's stop. Where are you from, or what's your? I hate race, but I'm gonna still ask you. What's your race?
I'm an Asian, sir.
You're an Asian. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think that you came to this country, or you were born here? Which one?
I came to this country.
And how are you doing? Are you fairly well off, or you work?
I'm not middle class.
You're middle class. I think everybody in this room is middle class, okay? I think a lot of people miss the point. When we look at the things that Bernie wants, I always said that the problem that we have is we are calling things free stuff, right? Whenever they talk about Bernie talking about healthcare, they call it free healthcare. Whenever they talk about student loan, repaying student loan, they call it free something. The reality is that's not what it is. The healthcare system is paid by all of us. The only difference is that it's paid through taxes, but it's paid for. It's not free. It's paid by all of our labor based on the progressive nature of how things are. I mean, because a stockbroker makes $1 million a year doesn't mean he's worth $1 million to society at all. You want to say something?
Yeah, I want to say, because I'm believing that I'm hearing the caller right now saying that we're playing the victim role because we are actually pointing out the facts of what actually is occurring.
Right.
Education is not equal across the board. We can like that is not a matter of opinion. And if there was some kind of way that we can actually get the people who seem to believe that we are victimizing ourselves to just at least go to our schools, like just go to a school. Matter of fact, take your child out of the school that your child is in and put him or her in one of our schools and tell me if that is equal. And if you can tell me then that your child is receiving equal education to what my child is receiving and that it has nothing to do with property tax or anything like that, then we can say that we're playing the victim role here. If you can tell me that I can go and apply for the same job with the bachelor's degree that I have, apply for the same job that many other people out here have, and then that I can get it even with my criminal background, then we can say that I'm playing the victim role.
Right.
But if the fact of the matter is that there are certain barriers set up to stop a person from being able to enter, then the discussion is not a victimization. The discussion is saying, how do we collectively work together to bring down or break down the barriers that's stopping people from being able to live on their own?
Your response, sir?
Well, that's what I'm saying. White people do the same thing, don't they? Well,
Yeah.
I don't care. I cannot get this job because they have to get a quota with the black people or minorities.
that
They
is-
also
But that's
complain.
not true.
So
That is
what
not
I'm saying
true.
is
That
it goes
wouldn't be
both ways.
That is not true, though.
But that wouldn't be true.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that you see, it is easy to try to play something called reverse racism, right? And that is something that a lot of folks really try to play. I would like to be able to live in a colorblind society because I understand race is a silly thing. The thing that separates races is silly. You couldn't procreate if they were any big differences. That's just biology.
But even from like the creation, we've never come to terms with the creation of this country, the
Right.
founding of this country,
Right.
And how it was the foundation of it is racist.
Yes, that's what it was. It was by design to degrade people, and I mean, of course. Hey, my friend, look, thank you. Keep listening, keep calling, but I have 5 calls that I have to do in 4 minutes. Okay.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye. All right, let's see. Line 3, come on in.
All right, like I said 4 years ago,
Go ahead.
we needed Donald Trump to win for military strategic purposes,
Right.
and he did win, and it woke the left up. If it wasn't for him winning, there wouldn't be what's going on now. I know you were totally disagreeable, and I didn't call back to rub it in, but 4 years later,
Yeah.
I'm saying the same thing. For military strategic purposes, a Donald Trump win would be good for the left.
Well, you know what? I don't agree with that. But you know what? I tell you what. Here's the funny thing that where I will kind of put it in. I don't think a neoliberal win is good for anybody, whether Donald Trump or any other neoliberal. I don't think it helps the situation in America at all.
And right now, with this pandemic looming,
Right.
we are in real danger because of Donald Trump,
Right.
Because he can't get past his own ego. He can't get past his own incompetence.
Very true. Very true. Let me run to the other call. Thank you for calling, sir.
Well, if I give him that much authority, then something else.
No, it's not that.
But I'm responsible for my own health. I'm responsible for washing my hands.
No, if I
what he says doesn't dictate how I govern my life.
Sir,
so,
that is not completely true. That's not completely true. But we'll talk about that another time. Thank you, sir.
For making the tests available, I can't make the tests available.
Okay, go ahead. Line 4, come on in. Line 4, you're on. Line 4, you're on. You're on line 4. Yes.
Yes. Hi. I'd very much appreciate if you could go sketch an outline of the upcoming national elections. How does it relate the board elections and the listeners' elections? How do they? What is the ultimate deciding vote?
What are you talking about?
Thank you.
Are you talking about
the national elections, the Pacifica?
Oh no, I don't discuss that, sir. I'm talking politics done right. Thank you, sir. Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Okay. All right. Let's go. Line number 1.
Okay, I wanted to answer the first caller about how he was talking about people depending on welfare.
Yes.
And if you look at how the country was built, people built it ourselves. Even Texas was built because settlers were given land or sold it cheap, and they got to own whatever they developed. And we haven't taught people those skills. Even conservatives, if you ask them how to set up a school, they don't know how to do it.
No.
So when we start teaching, if we start teaching people ownership, we will stop
I need to stop you right
thing
there.
about you can't get jobs.
Wait.
You know what I mean?
No. Ma'am.
That's what we need to teach people. We need to help people have that.
I need to stop you for one thing. You see, one of the things that we have in America, right, is when we've learned history, we've learned one side of a history that's false. If you are able to say that all those people that own all these ranches in Texas, hundreds of thousands of acres, own that when there were other people there. No, those are stolen lands. So you're saying these people came to Texas, they stole the land, and they worked the land, and they did something out of it. Now you purposes that were not given land in the beginning.
I can answer that because you didn't let me finish. That there's two sides of it. That people were forced.
Hold on,
they didn't build the South without slavery.
No. Wait.
People. Let me finish my point. My point is not that these people are depending on government. There's always going to be people that were
were dependent on government.
Like before, we had slaves that were brought here that didn't have any means of that were deprived of their ability to own things themselves. So we have to start with where we are.
Ma'am, there's
if you look at it that way, these people are not dependent on slavery.
Ma'am, when I speak,
you know what I mean? We can work from here and then build up where everybody has equal ownership of their own communities. Now,
hold on, stop.
Land from natives and stealing land from slaves, we can do restitution and make it where the natives own the land again, like Hawaii.
Okay,
they want to reclaim their land. California could go back to the natives.
I'm going to have to cut you off, ma'am, which I never ever do.
I'm not saying to ignore the history. I'm saying...
All right, I've never ever cut somebody off, but if somebody doesn't answer me, I mean, I can't... That just hurts my heart. I've never cut anybody off.
She didn't want to have a conversation.
Right. She wanted to put off. But I want to get 30 seconds. I want to tell you guys something, first of all. Don't let anybody ever tell you that some benevolent people came across the West and built anything. All of that was stolen land. And then they want other people come there and say, oh, now you have to make it on your own. Mm-hmm. Maria, give me a quick closer, 10 seconds.
Join the Texas Organizing Project. Go to organizetexas.org and sign up, and we will get in touch with you.
And Coretta?
We will be having a Righteous Justice meeting at 2404 Caroline Street on March 27th from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. If you're interested in learning about Texas Organizing Project, this would be a great time for you to come out.
Folks, my name is Egberto Willis. Thank you so kindly for listening to us. I hope you enjoyed the show today, except for maybe one or two unruly people. You know, I never, ever do what I had to do on that last call. My name is Egberto Willis. This is Politics Done Right, and you know how I end this, baby. I am what? Out!